Hey, beautiful friends. Welcome to Fearless and Worthy Woman, walking boldly in your calling. I am your host, Alexandria Daugherty, and this is where faith meets real life. Around here, we believe in who God says we are, obey His calling, lead with confidence, and do the work faithfully because you were never meant to play small with the gifts He's given you. So, grab your coffee, open your heart, and let's get bold in what God's calling you to do. Yesterday, we talked about obedience, what it really looks like and what it really means to surrender, even when it doesn't make sense. But today, I want to talk about why it feels so hard to let go, even though you really want to trust God. So you can love Jesus with all your heart and still struggle with handing that control over to Him. And I want to stop right here and say that that does not make you weak, all right? It just means that your brain is doing what it was designed to do, which is to protect you. When something feels uncertain, your nervous system sends a signal that says, hey, hold on a second, don't move until we know what is coming next. And that isn't really like your body trying to fight against you. It's not really rebellion. Rather, it's your body trying to keep you safe. But at the same time that your brain is trying to protect you, it can also keep you stuck. It can confuse what's familiar with safety. So even when God is saying move, your body is digging in the brakes and saying, wait, this feels different. And suddenly now you're paralyzed by overthinking, by doubt, maybe even exhaustion. So this is why obedience often feels like resistance. And it's not because you don't have faith, right? You definitely do, but because your mind has not yet learned that surrendering is safe. So our bold truth minute for today, Isaiah 26:3 says, "You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you." Now that verse isn't saying that peace comes from control. Rather, it's saying peace comes from trusting the one who is in control. God already built peace into the process for us. However, we're not going to be able to access that while our minds are stuck in that fight or flight mode. So here's what's happening when you feel that war between trust and control. Your brain has two main command centers in this moment. There's the amygdala, which sounds the alarm when something really feels uncertain for you. But then there's also the prefrontal cortex. This is what helps you think logically and stay grounded. When fear or uncertainty rises, your amygdala goes into overdrive. That's when your heart starts racing, your thoughts really start to spin, and your body braces for what it doesn't understand. That is why you replay conversations, or you overanalyze every single scenario, or maybe even delay decisions. It's not just overthinking, right? It is your brain trying to protect you from emotional pain. But here's the problem with that. The more you rehearse that fear, the louder that alarm is going to become. And so soon, your body starts treating obedience like it's a threat instead of a step of faith. But with all that, there is some good news, ladies. You can retrain that response, okay? Each time you take a small step of trust and pair it with calm. And maybe that looks like pausing and taking a deep breath. Maybe that looks like saying a prayer. Maybe that's just simply a moment of stillness. You are teaching your brain that surrender is not the same thing as danger. And over time, those pathways are going to get stronger. And here's that word again. I know if you've been following me in my podcasts, you've heard me mention this several times. It's what neuroscience calls neuroplasticity, which is when your brain is able to rewire itself through repeated experience. So in faith, that's what we call renewal. When you practice trusting God in the little things, maybe that's releasing that worry. Maybe it's saying yes when it's uncomfortable. Maybe it's choosing peace instead of panicking. Your brain starts learning that safety is not found just in control, rather it's found in His presence. And I want to pause here for just a second, because I want to be really, really clear about something. When I say yes when it's uncomfortable, I am not talking about saying yes to people or to situations that cross your boundaries or harm you. Okay? I want to make that absolutely clear. I am talking about saying yes to growth. Yes to what God's nudging you toward, even when it stretches you. There is a very big difference between discomfort that's part of healing and discomfort that comes from being unsafe. One draws you closer to peace, the other pulls you into chaos. God will never lead you into something that compromises your worth or your well-being. So as you move through this week, pay attention to that difference. God's kind of discomfort always carries some peace underneath it, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable. So that brings us to our faith step of the day. Today, I want you to do something that goes against your instinct to control. It does not have to be anything big, but I do want it to be intentional. Maybe it's not double checking that email for the 10th time to see what you could have said differently. Maybe it's choosing to rest, even though there's still work to do. Maybe it's simply praying, God, I am releasing this, and actually meaning it when you pray that. Then take a few slow breaths and picture God holding what you just released. All right, I want you to actually visualize in your mind you putting whatever that is in a box and handing it over to Him. Now your job is just to breathe. His job is to carry it. And that is what surrender is going to feel like. Ladies, I hope today's episode gave you a new way to understand the battle between control and trust. You are not broken for feeling afraid. All right, your brain just needs to learn what your spirit inside of you already knows. So keep taking those small steps of faith. Keep choosing peace instead of panic, and keep walking boldly in your calling. If this spoke to your heart, share it with a friend who needs it, and make sure to hit subscribe so you never miss your faith step of the day. And before you go, make sure you grab your free Truth Exchange worksheet. You will find it in the link in the description. Until next time, remember, you are worthy, you are loved, and you are called, empowering you always.